What's up, everybody? So today's video, we're finally gonna be washing the engine bay of my truck. I've owned it for about a year and I still haven't washed it. It was new when I bought it, but I live in a climate that currently doesn't really get too dirty, so it has stayed relatively clean, but it's finally time to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just show you my procedure. You guys might do it differently. You know, there's a million different ways you can obviously do it, but this is just the way I've always done it and never had any issues. So 2 key points is you're gonna want to cover something, put something over the alternator as best as you can. So I'm gonna show you, I got a couple of plastic bags I usually use, just regular grocery bags that you get from Walmart or something like that. So they seem to be about the right size. So I'm obviously gonna cover the alternator, and then after that, if you have an aftermarket intake, I usually try to cover the cone air filter with another bag, and then avoid obviously spraying in those 2 areas if at all possible. So let's go ahead, pop the hood, and I'll show you what we got to do. All right, one other thing you're gonna wanna do is pick yourself some sort of degreaser. I don't have any engine oil leaks or anything like that, so if your engine's a little bit older, you have some leaks and stuff like of that nature, you might wanna get something something a little more powerful or whatnot. But in the conscious, budget conscious videos that we've been doing, I went ahead and got the cheap stuff. Normally I'd go ahead and get some Castrol SuperClean, which works really well, or maybe some Simple Green. But I wanted to try this stuff. I've never tried it before, and like I said, it's mostly just dust that I have on my engine right now, so this should do the job. So get yourself something like this just to loosen the dirt and stuff that's in there.
You could always use your degreaser from your local car wash if you wanted, if you owned a 1982 Mustang or whatever the hell that is, but we are not going to use that.
We're going to use this stuff.
All right, so let's jump out of the truck and of course pop the hood, and we'll grab our plastic bags. Sponsored by Walmart. No, I'm just kidding. These are just bags that I got from Walmart from when I did some grocery shopping. And we got our degreaser. And of course, you want to make sure wherever you're washing it allows engine washing. Some of them do not permit it depending on where you're at, but I think it's safe to say this one from the 80s will allow us to wash the engine here. So let's pop the hood. Get set up here. So basically, you're gonna want to cover your air filter. Shove this down here for a second. So just feed your plastic bag around it. And depending on the size of the bag you use, you can probably try to tie it or do something of that nature. I'm going to try and put a little knot in here, and then I'm going to spin the bag, put the openings on the bottom. So there you go, super simple. You just want to cover it so no water gets on it. And then the other point of interest, which I was explaining to you guys, is of course the alternator. So same thing, you want to take your plastic bag and try to do this with your engine fairly cool. You don't want to do this with your engine steaming hot. I mean, if you have to, it's not the end of the world, but just try to avoid it if you can. So again, try to get this around as best as possible. I mean, I don't want to get caught with my foot in my mouth here, but it's not really gonna hurt anything if you get some water on the alternator. Of course, the air filter, you don't want to suck in water, but it's not gonna really hurt anything if you just get some water on this alternator. So you don't want to soak it, but like I said, don't be too scared to get it a little bit wet, because it is somewhat built to get wet. So yeah, usually, like you're kind of probably seeing me try to do here, it's a little bit tough to get this thing wrapped around, because of course it's bolted to the engine and it has a belt wrapping around it, and it's hard to get around it completely, but usually you can get around the front of the pulley like I just did, and try to get the other end of your bag, and just do the best you can, guys. Don't drive yourself crazy trying to get this thing completely 100% waterproof. So this should be pretty good for our purposes. And of course, we're gonna take our degreaser, whatever one you choose, and spray it all over. course, any heavily soiled areas that you have are the ones that you're gonna want to hit the most with a degreaser. But like I said, mine for the most part is just dusty more than anything. It's not really dirty or greasy or oily. It's just some dust from a year's worth of driving, basically. Usually around the top of this cap, you usually have some nonsense. You can see this purple power stuff kind of eating it away there. And yeah, just go ahead, spray all this stuff. Again, not rocket science, but just go ahead and spray all your stuff that you think needs some degreaser or some grime that's stuck. And then we're ready to go on to the next step. One other area a lot of people usually forget about is the top of the hood. I mean, you could probably use normal soap on this, but a lot of times there's some grime that's stuck on here. So I don't really do too much with the liner of the hood, but at least the perimeter over here where there's some grease and nonsense. Okay, now we're ready to rinse it off. That's pretty much it. If you had any heavily soiled areas, you would probably have to scrub them, but like I said, mine is just more dusty than anything, so I'm just gonna go ahead and rinse the rest off. See all that mud flying out of there, or dirt, so it's pretty nasty. That dirty water. Okay, and of course you want to close your hood. Spray off the exterior of your truck just to make sure you don't have any degreaser still laying on your paint. And that's basically it, guys. So we can go ahead, pop the hood since mine latched. And you're gonna want to remove your bags, of course. So you can see my alternator is still bone dry. And of course, remove the bag from the air filter. My air filter is still bone dry, so we're good there. And I guess I should mention too, you don't want to spray directly at the air filter. I know we covered it with a bag, but I always try to avoid it slightly, but you can see where it's dry and there's water around it, but nothing on there. And dry alternator. Alright, so that's it, guys. Like I said, alternator is still dry. You can see there's still a little bit of dust there that we could probably get out with a little cloth later. And the engine bay is super clean now, and our air filter is still dry too, which of course is good, and everything looks clean. There was quite a bit of dirt that came out of this headliner, so I think I was showing you guys and probably see all that muddy water coming out there, but we are clean now. So let's go ahead, close this and start it up. So don't be alarmed if you guys hear a little bit of squealing from your belt. The belt might be a little bit wet, and it'll take a minute or two just to dry off, but don't be worried about that because that usually happens. I don't know if this one's going to necessarily do it, but it has done it on other vehicles that have done that too in the past, and it's not anything to be concerned about. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that quick little video of me cleaning my engine bay. Like I said, it's nothing fancy. You could probably do it a million different ways, but that's just the quick and easy way that I've always done it, and I haven't had any issues or electrical issues or anything of that nature. So
If you guys are worried about it, don't be. It's really not a big procedure, and it's nice to keep things clean, especially when you're working and doing mods like we are. It's nice to not always have your hands covered in gunk and filth and have everything looking nice under the hood. So one other thing I do want to add is on my cars and stuff like that, my sports cars where we go to car shows and whatnot, there is the option to put engine dressing on it. On the truck, I don't consider this a showpiece. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know it's a nice truck and whatnot, but it's not something that I'm always popping the hood to, you know, show off at a car show. So the engine dressing is a nice addition to make everything look shiny and whatnot, but usually it's kind of almost like an oil film, and I find that's on a regular daily driver vehicle that oil film that you put on there, that engine dressing, it usually attracts dirt. So I know it makes everything look shiny, but at the same time it kind of offsets things a little bit and kind of attracts more dirt. So I don't mind it for my cars and stuff where we're always popping the hoods and stuff at car shows, but for the truck and just a daily driver, I'd rather have it clean but dry, so that dirt, if it happens to make its way into the engine bay, just kind of dissipates and hopefully falls off and doesn't stick to anything. So that's my take on engine dressing. But there was some engine dressing that I used in the past that basically you sprayed it on. It was almost like a spray paint, of course clear, but you'd spray it on and it would dry and it wouldn't be tacky. So I'm gonna try and get my hands on that stuff again. Maybe I'll give it a try on this too. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up for me, subscribe. I can be doing a lot more, of course, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.